Yeah, you don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm sipping on this whiskey, got one chance and it's risky, so you can't play around. And I got my team behind me like a background. I don't never back down, picking up the slack now. Now I'm focused, keep on grinding for my stacks now. I'm feeling lost in this ocean, where's a lighthouse? I keep on swinging for the fence and I ain't strike out. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling, yeah, that's how I'm feeling now. We're not here for a long time, yeah. It's 9 to 5, it's a long grind, yeah. A lot of to success, it's a long climb, yeah. Now I'm sitting here making up for time, yeah. Man, I took so many losses that I lost count. I didn't know what I was made of, but I found out. And this life will blindside, you better look out. These haters wanna see you fall and get you took out, yeah. Cause I fell on my face, and this life is a race. I keep on checking my place. Now I'm riding for my team, you can tell by my plates. And this life just threw a hook, it caught me right in the face. But I'm getting back up, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll climb a couple of mountains, I'll swim a couple of lakes. Don't got time for the bitching, don't got time for complaints. Now you going through some shit, now tell me how does it taste? You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm living with my choices, I just own my mistakes. Cause I'm screaming fucking hand down, I ain't searching for breaks. But I'm barely treading water and this life is the lake. Now the pressure keeps on building as I'm raising the stakes. I ain't looking for advice, now I'm looking for space. Now I'm dealing with these losses, but I know I hate the taste. Now I'm sitting back, I'm thinking as I smoke into the face. Now it's time for these apologies, the time is too late. So bygones be bygones, I'm on business with a tie on. So fuck a shoulder to cry on, I'ma get a hopper like Zion. Let's raise a glass, I'll toast that. Reminisce, we roast that. How I wrote them and ain't wrote back. I'm never flimsy, the goat's backs. I don't feel bad, no not at all. With a lot of years, write a lot of calls, a lot of birthdays without a call. Ain't got time for that, so fuck a fraud. You ain't there for me, I ain't there for you. You won't bleed for me, I won't bleed for you. All the hard times I lived through, keep moving, gotta get through. I got goals and cash I gotta get to, all these memories that I flipped through. If you can't relate, then don't judge. I stand my ground, I won't budge. I'm sitting back cause I burn buds. I swear to God, this life's good. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through.
Hey everybody, Butcher Wall Street coming at you. If you like that song, make sure you check out Living Through by Paul P on Spotify. Huge shout out to Paul P and his family. His very young daughter just underwent heart surgery. I wish her the best and your family the best on her recovery. God bless, my friend. Let's get started right away. Janet Yellen, once again, confirming what we've already known. We've heard her testimony in front of Congress during the CARES Act, and she flat out came out and told us that the two largest threats to financial stability are over-leveraged hedge funds and shadow banks, aka money market funds. The reason being because anytime there are financial runs, there is a massive number of margin calls, financial runs, and fire sales that occurs. And that's exactly what she just told us today. The synopsis here from the Economic Times tells us that the Yellen told a gathering of community bankers that the unprecedented economic and financial crisis would be exacerbated by possible disruptions to the federal government's operations, including air traffic control, law enforcement, border security, national defense, and telecom systems. The biggest thing here that excites me is the fact that if this were to occur, the Economic Stability Fund, aka the Plunge Protection Team, would have absolutely no money whatsoever in order to prop up the stock market. And that's why this fucking bitch is so worried about the debt ceiling. This is the worst it has ever been, and I'm about to show you why this time might be a little bit different than what people have seen in the past in regards to the debt ceiling. This is more than just a scare tactic. This is more than just grandstanding by the Republican and the Democratic parties. This is a serious issue that people need to be aware of, because come June 1st, it's very likely that the Treasury will begin to default on bonds and notes. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen delivered her most dire warning about debt ceiling here. And she said, quote, "A default would crack open the foundations upon which our financial system is built." And as you guys may or may not know, Joe Biden and congressional leaders have been discussing debt ceiling talks for quite a while now. She delivered her warning here, urging Congress to raise the debt ceiling immediately so the government avoids running out of cash by early June. And in preparation for her remarks, she says, quote, "It is very conceivable that we'd see a number of financial markets break, with worldwide panic triggering margin calls, runs, and fire sales." That is a direct quote from old Yeller, Janet Yellen, the head of the United States Treasury, and who is also the head of the Plunge Protection Team, who uses our taxpayer dollars, the Economic Stability Fund, in order to prop up the stock market by naked shorting the VIX, causing volume buying on the SPY and the S&P 500 by high-frequency traders and algorithms. With worldwide panic triggering... Okay, hold on. Someone needs to mute themselves, please. Thank you very much. Keep yourselves muted in the chat. My apologies. I'm in here with Boss Blunt's think tank. We've got a whole bunch of people in here. We've been discussing this for quite a while in the think tank, and I'm extremely happy and proud to be here with all of you guys. But please make sure you guys keep those mics muted for a little while. Unless you got something to say, by all means, hop in at any time, my friends. So we're looking at what could be much worse than the Great Recession or the Great Depression of the 2000s and the 1930s. We could see a possibility of over 8 million Americans losing their jobs and the stock market value falling by over 45% easily. A Moody's Analytics report found similar numbers, with more than 7 million Americans currently out of work, and $10 trillion in household wealth would be evaporated if this were to occur. Yellen also warned that a debt ceiling breach could affect essential government services. She said, quote, "If that sounds catastrophic, that's because it is." She said also, "Now, this crisis is entirely preventable, and the solution is simple," or so she says. And that was stated hours before Joe Biden was scheduled to meet with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and other top congressional leaders to try to knock out a deal before Biden leaves for the Group of Seven summit in Japan. And if they don't come to an agreement before June, when the federal government runs out of money, there is going to be serious repercussions on financial markets. This would be an easy way for them to create and manage the black swan that many of us understand is absolutely inevitable at this point. As you can see here, she said, "It is very conceivable that we'd see a number of financial markets break, with worldwide panic triggering margin calls, runs, and fire sales." She says, "Our current best estimate underscores the urgency of the moment. It is essential that Congress act as soon as possible." And so lifting the debt ceiling is necessary for the government to cover the spending commitments that they've already created and that they've already approved by Congress and the president and prevent defaults. And House Republicans have said they will not lift the limit if Biden and lawmakers do not agree to future spending cuts. This comes after Biden has given hundreds of billions of my money, of your money, of our fucking tax dollars to Ukraine to be squandered and laundered and it literally burnt to a crisp, as you guys may or may not have seen, by recent bombs that just exploded and missiles that have taken out billions upon billions of dollars of military donations that were given to Ukraine. The Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, said a default would generate an economic and financial catastrophe, and that not raising the limit would lead to unprecedented economic and financial storm that would immediately stop government payments to 66 million Social Security beneficiaries, millions of veterans, and military families. She said, I quote, a default could cause widespread suffering as Americans lose the income that they need to get by, and the resulting income shock could lead to a recession that destroys many American jobs and businesses. One could argue that that's already going to occur due to the massive QE and money printing that happened in order to prop up the stock market since even before the scamdemic began. And as you may or may not know, a lot of what occurred with the scamdemic was simply to allow the Treasury and the Fed to print unlimited amounts of money to prop up the stock market. You can say whatever you want about that scamdemic. The fact of the matter is that it was purposely blown out of proportion in order to allow these crooks to print out more money and line their pockets via their businesses, banks, and investments. Period. Not to mention take away rights from the 99%. She said, again, we are already seeing the impacts of brinksmanship. Investors have become more reluctant to hold government debt that matures in early June, and the impasse has already increased the debt burden to taxpayers. But she's not really concerned about that. Janet Yellen doesn't have any concern about if Americans are hurt by this. Janet Yellen is only concerned that the Economic Stability Fund would be unable to prop up the stock market through the plunge protection team's usage of our tax dollars to naked short the volatility index and 0-day to expiry options on the VIX in order to prop up the SPY through the inverse hedging of those SPY calls and equities purchases from algorithmic and high-frequency traders. As you can see, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy today stated that negotiations over the debt limit with Democrats and Joe Biden are, quote, not in a good place, and that Biden himself delayed the talks for over 100 days. He said, we only have so many days left, McCarthy stated just yesterday, and reiterated today that there had been no progress in these talks. The president decided to wait 100 days before he would negotiate. He treated this the same way he treated the border crisis. He wanted to ignore the problem. And what's happening right now in our fucking borders? Take a look at the Texas borders, El Paso, and everything else, Brownsville, Laredo. We are being overrun by immigrants. There have been over 90,000 illegal immigrants entering the country since this piece of shit, Joe Biden, not my president, has just allowed illegal immigrants to come in and have more rights than we the people. And I am the son of two, not one, but two immigrants, okay? I was born in the United States, but my parents, who are and were, naturalized citizens of the United States, were not born here. And I can come out and flat out tell you that letting in 90,000 plus illegal immigrants is probably the worst thing that could possibly fucking happen to this country. McCarthy and Biden are scheduled to meet today in about, I'm not wearing my watch, but my invisible watch tells me they're going to meet in about 11 minutes to begin talks. And as McCarthy stated, there has been no progress whatsoever. Complicating matters is Biden's scheduled trip to Japan on Wednesday. So they're going to talk today, and tomorrow, Biden's out of here. He's going to Japan for the G7. According to McCarthy, according to this article here states from Zero Hedge, Democrats would have to get serious about negotiating before he considers any progress to have been made. They would have to really talk about where they're going to go. He says, I quote, I don't think we're in a good place. I know we're not. This ignoring the problem, thinking it will go away, he could bumble his way into a default, just like he did on the border. Unreal. McCarthy has sought to use the threat of defaulting on the nation's debt to force Democrats to limit their spending. Save and grow, he said. Is it really realistic to allow Democratic spending to continue? Because they printed billions, hundreds of billions, and trillions of dollars, literally trillions of dollars, through what they said would help Americans, but these were only inflationary. This Biden Build Back Better bullshit is nothing but an inflationary cause of what we're dealing with. We should not have to deal with more debt sponsored by the Democrats and shoved down our throats as if Ukraine is our fucking problem. The only reason it's our problem, and it's not my problem, it's his problem, is because the CIA has over 36 proven Pentagon-sponsored bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine. Ukraine is America's money laundering playground. And Metabiota, a company owned by Hunter Biden and in part by proxy by Joe Biden, is being used and abused to launder money from Ukraine and these bio laboratories, as we've discussed on this channel many times before. McCarthy says time is of the essence. He's argued that the government can't continue to spend the money at the pace it is now. And he's absolutely right. That's the reason we're in this mess, with the Federal Reserve raising rates to astronomical proportions. The quantitative easing that was occurring with the printing of trillions of artificial dollars out of thin air has caused you and I to have to pay more money on everything. Our groceries, our car notes, our mortgages, insurances, you fucking name it. Everything we buy is more expensive because of their irresponsible spending. And there's no fucking reason the GOP should allow these Democrats to allow more illegal immigrants to enter the country so that they can vote blue. They should not allow more new federal spending or increases in the debt limit, regardless of whether or not these funds have already been allocated. Build back bullshit is just that. Absolute bullshit. They said it would only allow for borrowing to pay for the policies and legislation that Congress has already approved, but it is already way too much. Maximus, appreciate your super chat, my friend. You are too kind. You didn't have to do that. He says, again, McCarthy, I'm really concerned that the Senate hasn't passed anything. I'm really concerned that the president waited 100 days before he'd even talk to us. I quote, he said, I'm really concerned about the president's continued spending of what it will do to Medicare and Social Security. I'm really concerned about, instead of the Democrats sitting down and realizing we have a division in government and being honest and adult and discussing this, but simply lying about what we're doing. Just like they lied about January 6th, just like they lied about election interference, just like they lied about inflation being transitory, just like they lied about the scamdemic, just like they've lied about everything thus far. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen echoed McCarthy's warnings on Monday, saying that time is running out to avert an economic catastrophe and that default could see financial markets break with worldwide panic that triggers margin calls, bank runs, and fire sales. But by waiting 100 days, Biden treated this just like he treated the default on our fucking borders. They've defaulted on extending the what Trump implemented and kept illegal immigrants from flooding our borders. Now they don't give two shits, and they're coming in by the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands per week. I weep for the state of this nation. I weep for America. But at the end of the day, fire sales will occur regardless of whether it's orchestrated by the use of this default, because this bull run in a bear market cannot continue for long, period. Just like we saw Volkswagen squeeze to over $1,000 a share a month after the collapse of 2008, literally 30 days after the 2008 13.5 drop in 13.5 percentage point drop in one day on the SPY, we're going to see financial runs occur, whether it be due to a collapsing economy, whether it be due to bank runs, whether it be due to collapsing banks, commercial real estate, commercial mortgage-backed securities, you name it. It doesn't matter what the cause is. The fact is that it has to occur, and it will occur eventually. Janet Yellen said today, we are already seeing the impacts of brinksmanship, and investors have become more reluctant to hold government debt that matures in early June, she said in remarks prepared for a delivery to a banking conference. According to Bloomberg, the impasse has already increased the debt burden to American taxpayers. But as I stated, Janet Yellen and the government do not give a fuck about what taxpayers have to pay. They want us to pay more, because by us paying more through this invisible tax called inflation, the United States is able to pay off its debts a little more easily. The Treasury chief issued a fresh letter to congressional leaders Monday, restating that Treasury risks running out of sufficient cash for all federal obligations as soon as June 1st. She said the livelihoods of Americans hang in the balance in excerpts of her speech to the independent community of bankers. Every single day that Congress does not act, we are experiencing increased economic costs that could slow down the U.S. economy. But they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. All they want is to be able to continue to prop up the stock market for as long as possible, to make the average American believe that everything is just fine. Well, I'll tell you what, everything is not just fucking fine, because bonds, equities, real estate, all markets are extremely overvalued. Tech sector, cars, you fucking name it. They are way too overvalued. The triple Qs, the NYSE, and everything in between are way too expensive, with the exception of heavily shorted stocks and precious metals like silver, like gold, which have been suppressed and run in dark pools by prime brokers and banks like JP Morgan and Citigroup to the tune of 98%. 98% of all precious metal trades occur in dark pools, so that people like you and I are not able to affect the price by buying or selling them, as our trades go straight through the OTC, over-the-counter trades, through dark pools, through ISDA contracts, futures, and the same goes for the swaps and futures and married puts, divorce puts, rehypothecations, naked shorts on meme stocks. And that's why they're so fucking worried. Silver and gold have been heavily shorted for decades. Decades. Just as many meme stocks like AMC, GameStop, MMAT, and I could go on for ages talking about this. But I don't have to, because if you've been in tune with the market, you could see what is going on and that the meme stock run is nowhere near over. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is financial advice, but this is not financial advice. But I still feel very heavily, and I've invested with my money, that we're going to be filthy fucking rich. I bought precious metals, I bought meme stocks, and I am very heavily allocated in those, as well as cash, because I will make sure to take advantage of this market crash. It doesn't matter to me if it happened today, if it happens tomorrow, if it happens next month or next year. This is an inevitability that the federal government has been trying to push down the road since 2008, and that time has come to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, there can be no more unlimited money printing. The stimulus and the QE cannot occur anymore. That is why the Federal Reserve has been trying to taper their balance sheet. That is why they've been raising interest rates. That is why they've been trading with the reverse repurchase program on overnight RRP funds with the money market funds for over 2 years now, and is over to the tune of $2.2 trillion every fucking day. And they are getting a 5.5% APR on that $2.2 trillion every single day. So over the course of 365 days, they're getting a 5.5% interest rate and only having to put their money in that Treasury Federal Reserve RRP overnight, thus preventing the money market funds from having to invest in more longer term and more risky investments. But at the end of the day, as Janet Yellen told us in front of the CARES Act and Congress, heavily over-leveraged hedge funds and money market funds, aka shadow banks, are the greatest risks to financial stability, because they have over-leveraged themselves with naked shorts, rehypothecations, synthetic shares, tokenized securities, married puts, divorced puts, swaps, options contracts, futures, ISDA contracts, you name it. I could go on for an hour naming all the bullshit and crime that they're committing in order to push this 2008 financial crisis further and further down the road. That is why they had to do it in 2021 to prop up the stock, to cause a fake collapse then, and then prop up the stock market further with the unlimited money printer. And that is why they now have the Federal Reserve discount borrowing window bailing out banks every fucking day. Billions of dollars are going through. This is separate from the RRP, but the Federal Reserve discount borrowing window requires them to pay that money back, but it is a way of providing them with liquidity when they have none, because financial runs are going to make me filthy fucking rich. Plain and simple, we're going to be so fucking rich. God damn it. Pardon my French, Lord. I don't think you really give a shit what I have to say about in that sense. My kid's calling me. I got to go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to enjoy my day. I'm going to work. I'm going to keep hustling. And in case you're interested, you can go to litexchange.com with no E at the beginning, litexchange.com. Because of all this bullshit that's happening in these financial markets, my partners and I have decided to create a broker-dealer. Because Robinhood and Fidelity and Webull are robbing the retail investors by running their orders through dark pools, by using payment for order flow to allow market makers to buy your orders and front run your trades. That being said, you can go to litexchange.com if you want to learn more. We are not yet a licensed broker-dealer, but we are currently in the FINRA application and approvals process. And when we become a licensed broker-dealer, if you put in your email address, you will be one of the first to be contacted in order to be able to have the ability, and we will be offering the ability for you to become an investor, an owner in the company if you'd like, through our Founders Program. So if you'd like to learn more about the Founders Program on LitExchange before we launch, you can go to litexchange.com or litexchange.app in order to sign up. This is not a solicitation to buy, sell, or hold any securities or products of any kind. And there are still a couple of slots left here for beta testers if you'd like to become a beta tester. So that being said, I wish you peace and wealth. Make sure you're properly hedged. Keep an eye out on what's happening on the markets and act accordingly. Act accordingly. So goddamn rich.
I think it's time to blow this thing. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Getting fucking rich. I want my fucking money. Griffin, I want my fucking money. Yo, motherfucker. Jerome Powell, get that fucking money printer out, because you're going to need it. You're going to bail out the banks, the brokers, the market makers. You're going to have to fucking bail them out and pay me my fucking money. I'm waiting for it. Meme stocks, silver, gold, VIX, pay me my fucking money, Jerome Powell. Damn it, we're going to be so fucking rich. I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
Hey,
aren't
yelling,
you?
cowboy, give me the fucking money. Get the goddamn money printer out.
Great. Bounty cutter.
We're gonna be so fucking rich. Get the goddamn money printer out.